Welcome to Undefined, the show, and today we are talking about boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. It's a word we throw out a lot, and what I hear people say a lot is, I don't have any boundaries. And that's not true. We all have boundaries. What's happening is they're being breached. We're breaching our own boundaries. We're allowing other people to breach our boundaries because we aren't really clear about what they are. What a boundary is really a need. It's going to be individual to every single person. What it isn't, what it is not, is an expectation. A boundary is really a way to maintain your desired experience of something, of someone, of someplace. It's really, I like to call it a standard. It's just a standard of experience. It's not good, bad, right, or wrong. This is just my standard. This is what I want to experience. This is my desired experience. An expectation, however, is a how. And those are usually based on what people tell us we should be doing, shouldn't be doing, what TV says a relationship is supposed to look like, what we saw our mother and father accept in relationships, what our friends tell us is acceptable or not acceptable, what we should expect. And it often has nothing to do with what we individually want. So we kind of have to undefine what your standards are. Now, most of the population, 70% precisely, has an open heart. And so a lot of the stuff they're doing, a lot of their expectations are around not feeling worthy, not feeling valuable. So they're proving, they're doing, they're giving to get in order to get their needs met, which is where the boundary comes in. So they're constantly crossing their own boundaries, other people's boundaries, in order to get their needs met, in order to feel worthy, in order to feel validated. So because 70% of the population has an open heart, we're just gonna see people having boundary issues more. The Open Sacrals Center deals with this in the not enoughness and kind of, I don't know when enough is enough. Also over giving life force, energy, time in order to feel fulfilled, almost feel like they're getting something back, and they just don't know when enough is enough. They're trying to gain people's life force. And then you have the open emotional centers that manipulating people because they don't want to feel other people's emotions. So they're not going to hold boundaries for themselves because they don't want to make people feel uncomfortable, emotionally uncomfortable, because they don't want to feel emotionally uncomfortable. So they don't have important communications. They usually put everybody else's feelings ahead of their own, and always processing and trying to figure out and understand other people's emotions, why they do what they do. It's very empath-like. Instead of considering for one moment their own boundaries and their own standards. I want to talk to you today about what it looks like to have a standard of experience, to communicate your boundaries, and to release expectations once and for all. Ultimately, boundaries are about what you want, what is healthiest for you, and what is going to be the most productive and progressive to you as a human being. Yes, it's going to make other people uncomfortable, but it will only make people uncomfortable if they are breaching their own boundaries as well. So ultimately, the more you do this, the better you get at this. People will learn from you. They will, one, learn how to treat you by the way you treat you, but they will learn through watching you, which is really how we learn anything. So the truth is, we already have boundaries. We just aren't aware of what they are. So I'm going to help you become aware of what your innate boundaries are. So I want you to think about the thing that another person does that upsets you the most. I mean, immediately sends you into spin out. I just had an experience like this the other day. And for me, what spins me out the most is when people dismiss my needs, my feelings, my wants, my words. When my emotions are completely dismissed, when people are unavailable for me. It's also when people don't take accountability for their actions, when they're constantly blaming or putting things back on me, saying things like, I didn't do this because you didn't do this. Or never using the language, I take accountability, I did, I said. it's always projection language, which is like, you did, you said, it spins me out. I want you to get really clear about the behaviors that just you lose it over. Like immediately 0 to 100, that make you the most reactive, and make a list of those. Okay? Those are needs of yours. So for me, I have a need to be seen and heard. I have a need to be appreciated. I have a need for connection and intimacy. And when somebody is dismissing me, when they're not available for my feelings, I feel insignificant. I feel disrespected. I feel unloved. I feel disconnected. And those are all of my needs that are very, very important. So I'm getting really clear that those are my needs and they're not being met. Next thing, the little inquiry I want you to take is, are you meeting your own needs? Are you breaching your own boundaries? So by ignoring my intuition and my feelings and trusting what somebody else says, I'm gaslighting myself. I'm not emotionally available to myself. I'm telling myself, well, maybe you're just overreacting. Maybe you're crazy. Maybe you feel too much. That's me gaslighting me. So of course, it's upsetting to me when other people do it to me. As an open emotional center, I was always prioritizing everybody else's feelings over my own. So I was dismissing my own feelings. I was not emotionally available for myself. I was afraid that what I said, my truth, my need, my feeling in the moment would make them uncomfortable. So I was processing what they needed, what they were feeling, and what they desire in the moment faster and making them a priority and not myself. So of course, I'm gonna be upset when my emotions are not a priority to somebody else. And I was also giving to get. I would text I love you, hoping that I would get an I love you back, or I would say I miss you and hope that I would get, and because I wanted to hear that somebody missed me back. And it was all stemming from a need for connection. So again, not realizing that this is a boundary for me, and this is a need for me, is that the person I'm in relationship with or that I'm connected to wants to connect with me. Then I'm going to change my own behavior. I'm going to first focus on what I can change. What can I do? What behavior can I focus on doing differently throughout the day? How can I make my feelings a priority? How can I make my needs a priority? How can I communicate my feelings more in a way that I am heard and understood? And then finally, I'm going to then communicate that to other people. So that is a little process in and of itself. So when somebody has a behavior that is upsetting to me, or I have had a boundary that has been crossed, or a need that's not been met, or this is not my desired experience. This is not the standard for my life and what I want to experience on a consistent basis. When somebody in my life is important to me and it's important to have this conversation, then I'm going to communicate that. So I'm going to take full and total responsibility for my feelings. So I first need to identify what I'm feeling. So I would say, I am feeling hurt, or I am feeling insignificant. I am feeling disrespected. I am feeling dismissed, forsaken, unappreciated, whatever that feeling is when this happens. So if you're actually talking about a behavior, you want to make sure that you're stating facts and not perception. So I feel unappreciated when you act like a disrespectful idiot. You want to make sure that it's like exactly what happened. So I feel insignificant when you say, I don't want to have this conversation right now. That's exactly what he said. So that's the thing. It's an observation and it's exact, and it's not just me making up a story. Those are the facts. Paper, printed, he literally said that. I feel how you actually feel and a feeling when XYZ happens. Then you let them speak. That's all you have to say. Allow them to come forward. You can lean back and come forward with their next plan of action, what they want to take accountability for, whatever they want to say. You want to create the space for that. They may ask you what you need. You want to know what you need. So maybe you need reassurance. Maybe you need changed behavior. Maybe you need it to happen differently next time. Maybe you need a different way of communicating. Maybe you need them not to use a specific word. Maybe you need a hug. What do you need in that moment? And then you can tell them what you need if they didn't ask what you need. What I like to also do is take accountability for my part in the situation, and also take accountability for what I'm going to do to hold my standard experience, to hold the boundary moving forward. What that looks like is, I know that I accepted this behavior, this experience, this place, this standard previously, and it didn't come from a place of loving myself. So I choose differently moving forward, and this is no longer acceptable to me. So I'm going to do X, Y, Z differently. Examples of that would be, I will only be in this relationship if we are both in therapy. If this behavior continues, I will remove myself from the relationship. If you continue to use this tone, I will no longer have conversations with you. If you continue to use this language, I will no longer have conversations with you. This is the last time I will communicate in this way with you. Those are all examples of how to take accountability, and then to also set a boundary, communicate a boundary to uphold your desired experience. You have to know what your needs are and what you ultimately want. You don't want to set boundaries or expectations around things that aren't important to you. So maybe there's an expectation that he's supposed to text every single day. Well, how do you feel when he doesn't text every single day? Is it really upsetting to you, or is the idea or the expectation not being met upsetting to you? Is it a need of yours to have consistent communication every single day? If he misses a day, do you spin out? Or do your friends tell you that that's something you should be upset about? You need to be really aware of what your actual desired experience is, so then you can set those boundaries to uphold your standard of experience. So if you want more examples, if you want to join a community that will allow you to practice with other people, practice setting boundaries, if you want more examples of what it looks like with an open sacral center, open emotional center, an open heart center, then I want you to join our Undefined community. It is revolutionary space where we have monthly calls. So you get Ask Me Anythings. You have access to a ton of big courses, but also smaller courses like this boundaries course. You got a little taste of it today. You also get 30% off of all of our products. So we have merch, we have courses, we have physical products. So we have lotions, skincare products, bath products, lifestyle products to help you integrate everything you're learning here into your everyday life. We also have accountability from the other community members. We have physical spaces in Ohio for you to come and work if that's something that you want to do, and more. We have a secret podcast that gives you in-depth information about these things, human design, and more. So it's only $33 a month. The link will be in our bio, and I can't wait to see you in there.